Okay, and welcome again to Tiger TV. I'm your host, Tony Symonds, and today we are extremely fortunate to have the one and only, the great Freddie Phillis. How are you, Freddie?
Tony, how are you?
Good, thank you, mate.
Good.
Great to see you. Now, where do we start with this guy, really? I mean, this is fantastic. My boyhood hero. When I was a kid, I used to try and stud him. I would run up, kick with my left foot, all the things I couldn't do, just to follow Freddie around. So we'll talk more about that in a minute, Fred, but right. 270-odd games, 869 odd goals, played over 12 or 13 years, and we'll talk more about that as well. But how did you get your start down at Glenelg back in the late 60s?
Well, I reckon it was just a progression from the Brighton area, the primary school, going through to Brighton High School, coming through to the junior colts, senior colts, seconds, and A grade. Simple as that.
And invited yourself out, or just got asked out? In those days, you could go out just if you wanted to go out for a run, couldn't you?
May have got invited out for a run. When I got state captain of the under-14 schoolboys side, it sort of seemed to flick a few people's brains, so that got going. Yeah. Okay. And your first game was against who and where? Can you remember? Don't be like Rex Voigt, who couldn't hardly remember. Look, I'd be struggling, but I think it could be Sturt at Unley. I think it could be Sturt on the half-back flank.
On the half-back flank, now I did know that because I was doing a bit of reading today. Started at the half-back flank and finally got moved forward to obviously where you made your name, kicking 10 goals, an amazing 9 times. And also 10 state games, kicked 26 goals as well. So you become a goal kicker of some note, Fred, I think we could say.
It happened that way and then, that's right.
Greatest memories of playing on Glenelg Oval? There's some obvious ones, but what are your greatest memories?
There's obviously celebration for the 100 goal mark a few times. Was big stuff because the crowd just ran on the oval and they couldn't stop. And if you've got a crowd running towards you, that can be pretty scary sometimes because guess what? You're in the middle.
And back in the days when there's 15,000
there was plenty here. So that was, the several times we did that was pretty big. The win against Centrals was not really planned, but that just happened through the day, and half-time we knew something big was happening, and at the end of the day it was definitely happening.
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, you kicked 18 goals, 6 that day, and I'm sure I don't think you scored a major in the first quarter.
Correct.
So what happened after that? 6 and 6, or?
Yep, 6.
I remember Julian Swinstead, who played in that game, was a writer for the Sunday Mail at the time, and he wrote a story about having a sore neck. And who did you stand that day? I think I know, but who did you stand?
I think there were 3.
Probably at once. It wasn't
Cochrane
working.
And a few of the others. Yeah, so.
Ian Crone, was Ian Crone around
he could have
that time as well?
Yeah.
And I believe Centrals kicked 10 or 12 goals that day themselves.
They
might have been 10 goals, 13. So you sort of got your money's worth, didn't you, if you came down for the day. And of course the golden boots. There was a photo in the Sunday Mail the next day with the golden boots. Whatever happened to those?
No, I think we the pair that I took off at quarter time we burnt at Jack Evans' place because they didn't work. The gold ones we kept.
Now, I won't put these in order of importance, but probably in the order we should put them in. You won the Magarey medal in 1969, the first and nearly the only one before Scotty Hodges to win the Magarey medal as a full forward. How was that back in the day? Because that's quite an amazing achievement.
Yeah, that was not anticipated. I was at the Adelaide Town Hall as a Channel 9 panellist, and I had an ex-umpire tell me what I needed to get to win the Magarey medal, and guess what? He was spot on. It was funny about how he got those results, but he did.
It was in the days before you could have a bet.
It was a low count. The last of the night was Glenelg, so I said it's going to be Ken Eustace or myself. He already had one, so it was logical that came
Fair enough. Poor old Peter Marker would have been playing on the same side as you. I think he was runner-up twice, maybe 3 times, and in the day you got one and they haven't.
Oh well, I do talk to him about it.
And of course, the highlight for many Glenelg people, we have to talk about it, 1973, that magical grand final at Adelaide Oval. I was there, as I mentioned the other week, as an 11-year-old. Hot day. What are your memories of that day, Fred?
Windy day, very windy, north wind, probably in the 30s, so it was a hot day. And you just had to get the ball and do with it what you could. And kick goals. And Rexy Voigt kicked 8, Peter Carey kicked 8, I kicked none. But I gave plenty out.
Now, I knew that you kicked none, but I wasn't going to bring that up today because it's all about you, Fred.
Quite happy to wear it. I got them there. At least someone get off their ass and do some work.
Exactly, mate. And I reckon you would have had a few blokes, although Bob Hammond played probably the game of his life that day too, didn't he? I remember.
Yeah, he played a good game.
It was fantastic. Now, some things about you, Fred, that you wouldn't remember. Not for any other reason except it was a long time ago.
All right.
But in 1969, after you won that Magarey medal, I was a student in Year 3 at the famous Christ the King Catholic School on Dunrobin Road. Now, I know for a fact that you lived in 2nd Avenue at Warradale in those days in a flat because I used to walk that way to school every day just so I could hang around out the front, have a little chat with you. Occasionally I'd get you, and then after you won the medal, you rolled up to school at lunchtime with the Magarey medal over the fence and showed all the kids the Magarey medal. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Well, I certainly
do. I know the school and that, but I was... the celebrations were in the street the night before, and the first person to turn up was none other than the club doctor, who wanted to celebrate with a glass of wine and a beer.
Which doctor in those days? Not a witch doctor.
Owen Baring.
Owen Baring, beautiful man.
Senior.
Father of Richard.
Yeah. So,
and I think your brother Wayne may have lived across the other side of the school and then in another block of flats in those days. I was stalking all you guys.
Yeah, he did. I can't get him away. He stalks me too. So I'm going to watch it.
Now, a lot of people don't remember this, but I certainly do for various reasons. In 1981, you made a comeback after probably 2.5 years out. 78, I think you finished. The late great Hal Thomas was out here, took you under his wing and trained you day and night for a number of months.
Yep.
You made the comeback. I think you played 3 games and kicked a few goals. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then you played the rest of the season in the reserves under the wily coaching of Steve Highwood.
SP Highwood.
And I played in the 2s that year, so I got a chance to play footy with you, and we won a flag together.
Correct.
The 1981 Reserves Grand Final.
That's true.
And I think you kicked a couple that day.
I think I might have. Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I had a shot for goal late in the last quarter, which could have won the game for us, and I kicked it out of bounds on the full. So my goal kicking wasn't all that day, great that day either, but tremendous buzz for blokes like myself and a lot of the younger blokes who played reserves footy in the early 80s at Glenelg with Kernahan, McDermott, McGuinness, myself, who, have blokes like you out there with us playing was fantastic. And I think another star, Malcolm Greenslade, might have played the opposite end of the ground that day for Glenelg.
Yeah.
When he played full-back. Got any memories of that day?
I reckon it was the day that John Abbott was coach at Glenelg and come into the grand final. I might have had a bit of a hamstring strain, and he probably thought I wasn't up to it, so he decided not to pick me. And in actual long term, it was probably not the right thing to do, keeping another younger player out of the side. But Highwood wanted to run with it, and that's the way it went.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, any win's a win.
Well, particularly when there's a bit of silverware at the end of it, you just sort of, well, no, I do. I just take it any time I can get it.
Yeah.
Freddie, we had a brief discussion before we came on air about the goal-kicking woes of footballers these days in the AFL. I sit at home and shake my head, these full-time footballers who can't seem to kick a goal from 30 metres out straight in front. Would you have any advice for the guys who might be watching this?
Look, there's some classic examples of how to kick goals, and that guy that plays for North Melbourne, Bet Brown, is a classic example. He gives himself plenty of room. He runs on a straight path to goal, doesn't deviate, and he kicks lots and lots of goals. It's as simple as that. Run straight, kick straight, ball will go straight, and give yourself plenty of room before you kick it, as in kicking into the man.
And believe you're going to kick it.
Oh, well, that's it.
They look like they don't believe they're going to kick it, Fred.
You might as well go home or handball if you can't do that.
Exactly, and who wants to handball all the time?
No, well,
particularly inside 50. I never saw you do it too often.
I
really?
didn't have to.
And Freddie, before we finish off, you've been involved around this club for, I hate to say it, sort of 50 years roughly, which seems ridiculous, but what do you got to say about the Glenelg Footy Club that probably hasn't already been said about you, but great memories and your feelings for the footy club?
Yeah, the first year I turned up as a league player, the social enterprises after the games were quite a big thing. I didn't really want to go down that track because I think we finished bottom in the first year, and the president said to me, so how'd you like the year? And I said, not good at all. And so how are you looking forward to next year? I said, no, I'm not. I'm leaving the club. I'm not going to play with people that don't want to take it seriously. He said, oh, okay. So he said, well, better meet again. So a couple of months came by and he talked again and he said, so what would you think if I told you Neil Cooley was going to be coach? And I said, well, I won't be going anywhere. And that's exactly what happened. So unfortunately, there was some guys that didn't have the right standards, and why go out and waste your time, and train on Sunday mornings to get yourself a thirst rather than get fit. So you might as well, just be serious and get on with it. So that's sort of what happened for quite a while.
Now, Freddie, off the field, we're all quite aware of your background. You've been an architect for umpteen years. If my memory serves me right, you did the renovation here on this football club, I think sometime back in the 70s, and still to this day you're involved, because when we had the issue with the new grandstand blowing over a few months ago, we needed someone quickly and brilliantly to get something done with our new change rooms. Tell us what you did there and how you did that.
Yeah, well, when you have the roof blow off the old grandstand, and they're saying, well, you're not going to change there, and if you don't get your act together, you're not going to play football there this year, people got themselves on their skates and moved pretty quickly. The club particularly, Glenelg, they got full points to them, and the Holdfast Council did a very, very good job, along with insurers, to make sure that we just short-tracked the whole thing about building a new change room, and which we did under the function centre, the old function centre, and that was from go to woe, built in 6 weeks, and there was probably $150,000, maybe $200,000 worth of building work done in that period of time.
I would have put everything on the fact that wouldn't have got done in time. So it's incredible to get all those entities together, to pull it together.
Correct.
Amazing.
So you can do it working as a team, and that's what happened. And the result is there for everyone to see now.
And the name of the business, I think, DK Phillis and Associates?
That's close enough.
What about that? Find him down on the beachfront along there somewhere, I think.
Beachfront, that's right.
Yeah, where else would he be? Freddie Phillis.